100 amazing facts around the world.
James Earl Jones once traveled across the United States and used his legendary Darth Vader voice to talk to truck drivers on his CB radio, but it freaked them out so much, he had to stop doing it. After a Hong Kong gangster named Chung Tze-kung kidnapped the son of Asia's richest man and extracted a $130 million ransom, he phoned up the tycoon to ask advice on how to invest the money. The Twitter account 50 Nerds of Grey creates humorous tweets that combine nerd culture with dirty lines from the best-selling erotic novel. Adobo is one of the most popular Filipino dishes and is considered officially by many as the national dish. The word clitoris is Greek for divine and goddess-like. When the English colonial government in New Delhi, India put a bounty on cobras to eliminate them from the city, it resulted in a cobra population boom. The bounty was greater than the cost of breeding a cobra, and the citizens were breeding them to sell to the government. The world's most successful pirate in history was a lady named Ching Shi. Under Shi's leadership, the Red Flag Fleet consisted of over 300 warships, with a possible 1,200 more support ships. Since 2014, anyone climbing Mount Everest has to pay a $4,000 deposit, which is refunded if the person returns with 18 pounds of garbage, the average amount that a single person produces during the climb. Eating snakes is a delicacy in some cultures. For example, snake soup is a Cantonese delicacy that was made over 2,000 years ago. In the 1500s, Incas had cotton armor so densely woven it could repel spears and arrows almost as well as metal armor. During his assassination, Caesar was stabbed at least 23 times, before finally succumbing to his wounds. During the coronavirus pandemic, the northwest angle was cut off from the rest of Minnesota by Canadian territory and a lake while the border was closed. Locals desperate for tourism pulled together $9,000 to build a new 22-mile road across the lake. Kevin Mitnick as a hacker was believed to be so dangerous that he was placed in solitary confinement for fear of being able to start a thermonuclear war by whistling into a payphone. The first flag of the Philippines came into the picture at 35 Morrison Hill Road in Hong Kong. Together, 3 women crafted the flag, namely, Marcela Agoncillo, her daughter Lorenza, and Jose Rizal's niece, Delfina Herbosa de Natividad. All of the old buildings from Star Wars, such as Obi-Wan's house, Mos Espa, and Lars Homestead, are still intact and can be visited in Tunisia. About 1/2 of your friends probably don't think of you as their friend. Climbing the social ladder causes a lot of one-sided friendships, because those lower on the ladder often claim to be friends with people who are higher up, while those at the top are more selective about who they consider to be in their circle. Basically, no matter where you land on the ladder, you have more fake friendships than you think you do. The most endangered and rare snake on Earth is the St. Lucia racer. Only 18 to 100 of them are left as of today. Nikola Tesla once paid an overdue hotel bill with a working model of his death beam. He warned the staff never to open it, describing it as a war-ending particle weapon that could stop invading armies and make warfare pointless. After his death in 1943, someone finally pried the box open and found nothing but a bunch of harmless old electrical components. To foster infighting and maximize power, Adolf Hitler used to intentionally give contradicting orders to officers whose duties he knew would overlap. Facebook artificial intelligence robots were shut down after they started talking to each other in their own language. Grigory Rasputin was a Russian mystic and supposed holy man. Rasputin survived being poisoned and being shot. In 2008, a school named Charles Sumner Elementary School at Camden, New Jersey forced 7 students to eat their lunch off the floor for 2 weeks after a child accidentally spilled water while refilling a water cooler. The 7 students won a $500,000 legal settlement. On New Year's Eve, residents of the Hillbrow suburb in Johannesburg throw unwanted furniture out their window to celebrate. As the 16th President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte took office on June 30, 2016. Elected at 71 years old, Duterte is the oldest president-elect in the country's history. Anyone can become a troll. Studies show most internet trolls are otherwise reasonable people who've never trolled before. If you're already in a bad mood when you stumble upon a troll post, you're twice as likely to turn into a troll yourself, regardless of your history of online behavior. When actor Kiefer Sutherland heard college kids were playing a drinking game by watching the TV series 24 and taking a drink every time his character says "damn it," he started making an effort to throw in a "damn it, damn it, damn it" every now and then. Fangs of snakes last for about 6 to 10 weeks. Once the current fang wears out, a new one replaces it. Hero ants live in cliffs or high places and latch onto intruders of the colony. They then fling themselves off the cliff, taking the intruder with them. In a 2004 study, Chinese women who ate mushrooms and drank green tea reduced their risk of breast cancer by nearly 90%. Bats are one of just a few species, besides humans, that communicate directly to individual bats, instead of just making broad communication sounds. The Vikings were the first people to discover America. Half a millennium before Christopher Columbus discovered America, Viking chief Leif Erikson of Greenland landed on the island of Newfoundland in the year 1000 AD. In 2017, there were as many or more payday loan stores in the US as McDonald's or Starbucks. Adolf Hitler's father, Alois Hitler Sr., was the illegitimate son of Maria Anna Schicklgruber. Maria was unmarried at the time of Alois's birth, and so his name was originally Alois Schicklgruber. Women are likely to be more attracted to men whose feelings are a mystery than they are to men who have already showed an interest in them. You can buy Golden Girls hot sauce. The bottles are sold individually or in a 4-pack, and each sauce is made of either jalapenos or habaneros. The rattles of a rattlesnake are made up of keratin. Each time a rattlesnake sheds its skin, a new ring gets added. At noon on September 1, 1923, a massive earthquake hit Tokyo. Major fires popped up across the city, because people were cooking lunch over fires when the quake hit. Over 100,000 people died. Woody Harrelson's dad, Charles Harrelson, was a hitman and died in prison while serving a life sentence for killing a federal judge. The Murchison meteorite, which fell to Earth in 1969, contained high levels of organic compounds. It came from a parent body that had liquid water, and the amino acids it contained could not have been synthesized on Earth because they consisted of both left and right isomers. After 9/11, Queen Elizabeth authorized the Coldstream Guards to break protocol and play the U.S. national anthem during the changing of the guard, giving some comfort to Americans stranded in London due to airport closures. The Luftwaffe had a master interrogator, Hans Scharf, whose tactic was being as nice as possible and was very much against physical torture and brutality. Anandabai Joshi was the first female doctor from India. She was also the first woman in India to complete her studies in Western medicine from the United States. After being sold at auction, astronomer Galileo's tooth, thumb, and middle finger are now on display along with a third finger at the Galileo Museum in Florence. Married people are more likely to masturbate than people living alone. London has an annual conference for things that are really boring. The Boring Conference celebrates subjects that are considered mundane, ordinary, trivial, or pointless, but when examined more closely can be deeply fascinating. There's a website called Kitifi that turns your entered text into cat puns. Snakes don't have ears or eardrums, but the skin, bones, muscles absorb vibrations from Earth and carry them to the inner ears. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was produced by Quaker Oats. Idea was that they were going to release a chocolate bar and the movie would promote it. However, they goofed the formula and it melted at room temperature. So when the movie was released, there was no chocolate bar to sell. In 1977, a Las Vegas casino magnate once bet Stu Ungar $100,000 that he could not count down a 6-deck blackjack shoe and correctly guess the last card. Ungar won the bet. The Smokey Bear Statute of 1952 is a real federal statute, complete with rules like no wisecracking in the Smokey Bear costume. The UK government collected postcards as intelligence for the D-Day landings. The postcards were sent to the War Office and helped form part of the decision to choose Normandy as the location for the eventual D-Day landings. John Jameson, the founder of Jameson's Irish whiskey, was actually Scottish. He was born in Scotland and lived there for over 50 years with his wife and 16 kids. The average man has 11 erections per day and 9 erections a night. There's a Chrome browser extension that changes Donald Trump's last name to Drumpf, his ancestor's original surname, on any website you visit. According to science, the 10 funniest words in the English language are booty, tit, booby, hooter, nitwit, twit, waddle, tinkle, bebop, egghead, ass, and twerp. The Great Pyramid of Giza was once covered in highly polished white limestone before it was removed to build mosques and fortresses. Anaconda is the heaviest snake in the world. It weighs about 600 pounds or 272 kilograms. It can grow to a length of 9 meters or 30 feet. It can eat jaguars, caimans, and capybaras. The Simpsons episode Lisa Goes Gaga guest starring Lady Gaga is the lowest rated episode in the show's history. When Andre the Giant would go drinking in Manhattan, the NYPD would have an officer follow him around town to make sure he didn't drunkenly fall on anyone again. The rarest Olympic medal is the Pierre de Coubertin, also known as True Spirit of Sportsmanship medal. It has been awarded less than once per Olympics. When the wealthiest man in Rome, Marcus Crassus, died, molten gold was poured down his throat. Tesla runs an entire island on solar power. The island of Tau in American Samoa used to consume 300 gallons of diesel fuel daily to run generators, the fuel that had to be bought and shipped, but Tesla's solar panels and power packs provide 6 megawatt-hours of energy storage. In the 1930s, Dorothy Beck used an underwater periscope to sketch fish as she traveled around the world. Having sex at least once per week can lower a man's risk of heart disease by 30%, stroke by 50%, and diabetes by 40%. It has also been shown that men with an active sex life are more likely to live past 80 years. TwinStrangers.com is a website where you can try to find your lookalikes from anywhere in the world by uploading photos of yourself, selecting your facial features, and sorting through matches. Toronto has an underground arcology, a network of underground tunnels where it's possible to live without needing to venture outside. Bill Murray once took a cab and found out the driver played the saxophone but never got to practice because he worked 14-hour days. So Murray forced him to pull over, traded places with him, drove the cabbie around while he practiced in the back seat. Some snakes have over 400 ribs, whereas humans have only 24 ribs. Kraju is a nocturnal female spirit of Southeast Asian folklore. It manifests itself as a woman, usually young and beautiful, with her internal organs hanging down from the neck, trailing below the head. In a 1978 issue of Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man teamed up with the third season cast of Saturday Night Live, which included Bill Murray and John Belushi, to fight off the Silver Samurai. Shrapnel is named after its inventor. British Army officer Henry Shrapnel was the first person to invent an anti-personnel shell that could transport a large number of bullets to its target before releasing them. A woman named Catherine Knight murdered her lover, skinned him, decapitated him, cooked chunks of his flesh in a stew and attempted to feed it to his 2 children. In 2009, Tropicana invested $35 million to rebrand their orange juice packaging. Within 2 months of the change, sales dropped 20% and they lost significant market share before quickly switching back. The failed marketing experiment cost them over $50 million. The amount of semen produced with each ejaculation is 1 to 2 teaspoons. The typical man will produce about 14 gallons or 1/2 trillion sperm in his lifetime. George C. Parker, a con man, would sell the Brooklyn Bridge twice a week to tourists. The buyers would sometimes try to put up toll barriers. There's a Japanese town that looks just like Sweden, sells Swedish folk crafts, and celebrates Swedish traditions. Sweden Hills, located on Hokkaido Island, hosts Swedish festivals throughout the year and is popular with tourists. In Scotland, a group of students went to a modern art gallery and left a pineapple in an empty exhibit to see if people would think it was art. When they returned 4 days later, not only was the pineapple still there, it had been covered with a glass case. Black mamba is considered to be the most advanced snake because it has a highly developed venom delivery system that no other snake has. It can strike up to 12 times at a stretch. However, a single strike is enough to kill an adult human. In Thor: The Dark World, Natalie Portman couldn't make it reshoot the final kiss scene. When asked to choose from a lineup of women to take her place, Chris Hemsworth instead brought in his wife, who wore Natalie's clothes and wig to shoot the final kiss. Actor Robert Pattinson dealt with an obsessed fan who had been camping outside his apartment by taking her out on a dinner date. Robert Pattinson just complained about everything in his life and the girl never came back. An ancient text called the Voynich manuscript still baffles scientists. Hundreds of cryptographers and master codebreakers have tried to decipher it over the years with none succeeding to grasp its meaning or origin. Tom and Jerry were originally named Jasper and Jinx in their first animated cartoon Puss Gets the Boot. It was also nominated for an Academy Award. Women who have sex at least once a week have more regular menstrual cycles. The inventor of Sherlock Holmes also solved crimes in real life. In the early 1900s, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle noticed inconsistencies in the closed cases of two men he believed to be falsely accused. He investigated the cases, solved them both, paid for some of the court costs, got them released from prison, and the publicity from his efforts led to the UK's creation of an official court of appeals. The term for the last animal of an entire species is endling. When an endling dies, the species is considered extinct. Elizabeth Taylor was late to her own funeral. Hoping to remain fashionably late even in death, she left behind two specific instructions for her service: one, that it would begin 15 minutes after its designated start time, and two, that someone would announce she even wanted to be late to her own funeral. Some non-venomous snakes also harm humans like pythons. They either constrict a man to death and eat him up alive. The USS Franklin, as seen in Star Trek Beyond, was named after the father of Justin Lin, the film's director. His father, whose name is Frank Lin, is a Taiwanese immigrant who latched onto the show in his youth due to its sense of exploration and discovery, and hope. Johnson & Johnson knew there was asbestos in baby powder for decades. Michael Dorn has appeared more times as a regular cast member than any other Star Trek actor in the franchise's history, spanning 5 films and 272 television episodes. Turkeys were once worshipped as gods. The Mayan people believed turkeys were the vessels of the gods and honored them with worship. Jack Black's mother was one of the engineers who helped design the Hubble Space Telescope. In 2018, Americans lost over $700,000 to Nigerian print skim emails. Each victim lost an average of just over $2,100. Bamboo sharks open their mouths widely and quickly and generate suction to slurp up prey. They then shrug their shoulders in order to generate additional suction in order to swallow their food into the digestive tract. According to one study, 36% of people go right to Facebook or Twitter, not the shower, after a romp in the sheets. Stephen Hawking threw a party for time travelers on June 28, 2009, and nobody came. However, his invites weren't sent out until the next day. This, he claims, is experimental evidence that proves time travel is impossible. Snakes are found everywhere except Antarctica, New Zealand, Iceland, Ireland, and Greenland. In the Middle Ages, men who wanted a boy sometimes removed their left testicle because it was believed that the right testicle made sperm for boys and the left testicle made sperm for girls. Almost all the spiders you see in your home during the winter were actually born in your home. Kim Jong-il's real name was Yuri Arsenovich Kim, and that he was born in Russia.
World Top 20.
Thanks for watching.
For more videos, please like the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel.
We wish you a fruitful day ahead.
And remember, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end.